This is the Soul Holla podcast.
Every week, we bring you mystical accounts from forgotten folklore to the fringes of consciousness.
Exactly. If you have ever felt there was more to this reality than what you are being told, you've come to the right place. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Brenna, and we are your hosts on this weekly journey. Welcome to Soul Holla.
Hey there, welcome to the show. Today we have a topic that is pretty fun if you're into the undead, like vampires. So many movies.
Who isn't into the undead? I mean,
The undead. They come back from the grave.
And they're always
or
good
they never go to
looking.
the grave. Yeah. Although it kind of started out that way, where they did go to the grave and then they came up, and that's how people began the fear of the living dead. But yeah, what's your favorite vampire movie, Brenna? One of them. It could be in the top 5.
How about a favorite vampire story? Because they made a movie out of it, but I didn't think the movie was up to snuff. It's Whitley Strieber's books, believe it or not, and it was called something. And then he
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I can, while you're thinking about it, I can share a few.
While I'm looking it up, what's your favorite movie?
Yes, sure. I have several. I mean, Lost Boys is a classic. Who doesn't love a sparkly vampire? I'm fond of Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I just think it's a kick. And based on the book by Seth Grahame-Smith, just yeah. And then Twilight, of course, because I read all the books and I watched the movies. Books were better. And then Nosferatu, the most recent. I don't think I ever watched the old one, the original, back from 1980. I don't know when that was, but I did watch the 2024 one, which was.
Did you like that? I didn't.
Good.
Really, I didn't like it. I thought it was boring.
You thought it was boring? Okay, well,
That was just me. I could have been in a mood. If I watch a movie in the mood, then it's a sucky movie. I can watch it 6 months later in a perfectly fine mood and go, "Hey, this is a great movie."
I will tell you, I'm a fan of Bill Skarsgård. Skarsgård. I don't.
The Swedish guy?
Exactly. The Swedish guy.
Yeah.
He was Count Orlok. I feel like I love the voice. I love the vibe. He did a great job, in my opinion. I had him. So there was that going for it. And then, yeah, I felt like they set the mood really well. Like it just felt super creepy.
It was well done. It was well done.
I think you need to rewatch it. I'm just going to say.
I'll rewatch it. So in Nosferatu, the original, like the black and white with the no speaking, remember how creepy that guy looked?
Okay, 100%. I have not watched that one.
Okay, well, who has? I mean, really? I mean, I've just seen snippets, okay? Because
Okay.
I don't want to watch a silent movie for a couple hours. But anyway, this Nosferatu, the original, they filmed it in a creepy place. I want to say in Romania. Now that I can't vouch for, but they did film in a creepy castle, possibly in Romania, in real life, okay? And the guy who played the vampire, Nosferatu, his name was something Schlick, I believe. But anyway, they made a movie about the making of Nosferatu, and there was all sorts of weird stuff that happened. And people on the set were getting sick, and some of them were dying, and some of them came to the conclusion that this actor playing the undead Nosferatu was an actual vampire. So that's kind of interesting. But
that is interesting.
How 100% true is anyone's guess. But they did make a really interesting movie, and when I watched it, I've watched it quite a few times. Eddie Izzard plays in it as the director. He is not crossed dressing in that movie. He plays a period part, and so that's the first time I ever saw him as a regular actor. I'm like, that's Eddie Izzard? Oh my gosh. By the look on your face, you have no idea who I'm talking about.
The name's familiar, but no, I'm like trying to think, like, do I know what he looks like?
He's a
And the answer is
comedian.
no.
He's a comedian who's also
Oh, wait,
kind of
wait, wait.
like a
I do know he's
cross-dresser.
British.
Yeah, he's British.
Okay, yes, I do know.
He's
Yeah.
pretty funny. He started he didn't wear, I don't think he wore dresses and stuff, but he was kind of, he put on some women type stuff. He liked to wear makeup. And that was before the days that the trans thing blew up and everybody and their dog was trans. But so he's kind of ahead of his time. But anyway, he's funny. He's a funny good. He's a good actor. Funny guy.
Okay, I just
Anyway.
looked him up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm,
So
I'm
anyway,
with ya.
okay, we digress though. I mean, this is not about
We digress,
Eddie
yes.
Izzard. This is about vampires.
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 Yeah.
Okay, and I
Vampires.
looked up Whitley Strieber's book. It's
Excellent.
It's called The Hunger, and David Bowie and Catherine Deneuve was in the movie. It's horrible. Susan Sarandon was in it too. But you know, the book's always better. And then the sequel to that was called The Last Vampire. And then he made a kind of a sequel to that, even though the main characters were pretty much gone. So it was a new character. It was called Lilith's Dream. Anyway, all three are excellent books about vampires. And the other book I wanted to give a shout out to is called The Delicate Dependency. And that's by Michael Talbot. That's close. So if you just Delicate Dependency. It's out of print, but you can still get it in certain places. The most original, awesome vampire book you'll ever read. Period. Hands down. So, those are my favorite. And mostly because they developed the actual vampire identity so well. You know, they're very intriguing characters. They're, you just love, you hate to love them kind of thing. Because they're likable, even though they, you know, kill people regularly and have no respect for human life and whatnot. But they're
It's a
still,
little bit of
but they're so cool, you know. Like, Delicate Dependency is a whole different breed. That's like a vampire book you'll never read again. Like, he really outdid himself. The author is now dead. Interestingly, he wrote a book. Now, apparently, he died of cancer. He wrote a book, though. It was called The Holographic Universe. It's all based on science, all his research on it and stuff. And it was really just showing how, you know, basically this is all illusion. You know, now the terminology is we're in a simulation. Back in the day, we were in a hologram. Anyway, I'm not saying that I believe this or not, but he did die quite suddenly after that book. But he also wrote fiction books as well, and his fiction is just dynamite. Okay, back to vampires.
yeah.
Okay,
no,
why don't you list off a few types of vampires, and then I'll list off a few types that maybe people haven't heard of yet.
Okay, yeah, I mean, the one that I'm most familiar with is basically, like, when I think of vampire, I will tell you that I 100% think of, like, a Dracula character who lives in a castle in Romania.
Yeah.
So basically, like, Bram Stoker's Dracula sort of thing where he, you know, lives in a castle, comes out, maybe turns into a bat.
Crawls up walls.
Crawls up walls, like, has, like, kind of has, like, those superpowers sort of things.
Yeah. So there's your mythical, typical,
sort of the mythical,
good looking,
version.
usually vampire.
Not in my. I mean, that all changed, of course, when I saw Lost Boys and read Twilight, and you know those sorts of things, and then kind of like switched my my vision, my like sort of the stereotypical, switched it from okay, a vampire could also be somebody who's very good looking, or like somebody who has they just live really long, but they're stuck whatever age where they were initiated, so they could be young, they could be old, they could be
right,
you know, like that sort of lore became. So there, I guess I just listed a couple by accident.
Okay, but there's also psychic vampires, right?
Yeah,
the people that suck the energy from other energy. Basically, they suck your energy away from you and take it to themselves. And people are psychic vampires by choice. They do it on purpose. But in most cases, I believe that people become psychic vampires because they're lacking in some way, and they become sort of like a energy sponge, and they'll just suck it up.
Mm.
Because I don't think a lot of people know that they're energy vampires. So that's my 2 cents on it, though. I've
Okay,
known
so what
people.
you know people today?
Well,
Yeah,
I
I'm just
did.
gonna say, can you
Yeah.
say a little bit more about that? Like,
Well, like my grandma, like there was a time in my grandma's life where she was not happy. My grandpa had died. It had been, quite a few years, but she was just miserable. She just didn't like her life. And you could feel her presence coming up. Like my mom and I would be talking or something, and we both be like, oh, it's almost like we both got a chill. And I'm like, ooh, I feel like grandma's coming. And she's like, yeah. And then sure enough, my grandma would like shortly thereafter would just come around the corner and we'd see her walking towards us and we're like, oh. And like it got to the point where sometimes I just have to get up and leave the room.
mm.
Um and so but she was so miserable that she was sucking all the goodness out of the room and everything else and people and
So I'm guessing you didn't feel so great after you hung out with her, or like you said, you left the room. So that was
yeah.
because you're feeling like not cool about it, about her being about hanging with her, like being with
Right.
her
She's
felt
so
bad.
negative that like I was always like, oh, I just gotta get out of here. And she snapped
Mm-hmm.
at it eventually and things got better. But
Mm.
but I think there's psychic vampires that do it consciously. They just know how to,
Dang. Okay. Now I will tell you, I never even thought about that before. Like somebody purposely, like I
purposely.
definitely thought about the whole thing of like, oh, somebody might just be a really negative person and they rely on cheerier people to boost them along, kind of. And if they get really latched onto somebody, it can be hard to shake them off. But um, yeah, I never thought about somebody who intentionally, like from a distance,
Yeah.
like dialed in,
Mm-hmm.
like.
Yeah, I've read accounts of people that admit to doing it, but they're into the darker arts and stuff.
Okay.
So it's not considered a good thing to do to another person by any means.
Well,
But
no.
they're in the darker arts. That's where they play, and that's what they do.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
um, yeah. So there's psychic vampires, and then I have some stories of just bizarre things that are recorded in our history, and they are just who knows how to explain these. But for all intents and purposes, it seems like holy crap, like some degree of vampire is true by some of these
Yeah.
accounts, and I'm just like, what? I don't know if it's a blood disease or some kind of fungus disease that causes bodies not to decompose, and it's
Oh, interesting.
yeah, yeah.
Because the first, like, I looked up a little bit of the history about it, and because you mentioned disease, and the in Greek they it kind of goes back a ways. But they said like nosophoros, which is disease bearing. That's the Greek word for like indicating a vampire or somebody who
Hmm.
um so disease bearing, like, and then yeah, so that's interesting that you said disease. So well, let's hear more about your story. That sounds interesting.
Okay, so one of the stories, let me just get my notes here. Okay, this was in 1892 on Rhode Island, okay? And apparently there was a family there by the name of Brown, and they suffered repeated deaths from tuberculosis, also known as consumption back then, I believe. And their 19-year-old daughter, as well as other people in the family, died. And her brother, Edwin, fell ill as well. Okay, so for whatever reason in Rhode Island, they were very superstitious. When did they do the witch trials? That was in Salem, but was that back in the
Mm.
1890s? Wasn't that long ago. It doesn't seem like, were we burning people at the stake in 1800s? Or was that earlier? It seems like that was early. Okay, that
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't matter. But anyway, bottom line, superstition suddenly overcame this little town on Rhode Island. And they said, something's killing off this family. Exhume the bodies. And all the family members that had already died of tuberculosis were, decomposing like a dead body would, except for Mercy. And Mercy's corpse appeared unnaturally preserved with fresh blood in her heart. The community cut out her heart, burned it to ashes, and had Edwin, I guess Edwin wasn't dead yet. Edwin just had fallen ill, and had Edwin drink the mixture as a cure. He died soon after. It was Edmund's ticket was up no matter what, it seems like. Yeah, so that was one of them. And that's a true story. It's documented and everything. So the whole family's kind of dying off. They think there's some superstitious tomfoolery going on. They exhume the bodies. Mercy has not decomposed, and she has fresh blood in her heart. And then they get, I don't know what they thought was like such a good idea.
Cut it out.
Let's cut it out and like feed it to Edwin and that'll cure him. It's like, really? If she has some kind of funky disease, like i.e. tuberculosis, that's just going to give him tuberculosis. It's like, anyway, so poor Edwin. He didn't stand a chance, it seems like.
So let me get that straight. So she was in the grave, like she died,
and they buried her.
Mm-hmm. and then
the town got
superstitious.
Yeah, they got superstitious. They got scared. They thought some sorcery was happening because the whole family, I think, except for Edwin now, and so they dug all the bodies up because maybe that's what they did back then. I don't know, but and that's what they found.
Okay. Yeah, that's creepy.
That's an interesting story, and it might be, helped spawn the weirdness with vampires. What do you think?
I think you're on the right track there of it just being something that I don't know if they gave a date. Did they give a date on that one?
Yeah, it was in 1890. Okay,
because before that, in 1047 AD, the first mention that they can find of reference to a vampire is 1047 AD, and it's a dangerous spiritual entity associated with death rituals. So that means they had death rituals.
Yeah.
And there's a dangerous spiritual entity that either came from it or something like that is what I'm picking up. And then, yeah.
Okay.
Did you have another story?
I did. Here's another historical story. It was 1720 in a Serbian village. A guy named Arnold, let's just say Paoli. That doesn't sound very Serbian to me, but I don't know how else to. I'm just going to say Arnold, okay? An Arnold Serbian in 1720 died after a hay wagon accident. But before he died, he was claiming that he was attacked by a vampire when he went to Greece. And the vampire had bitten him, but he had, quote unquote, cured himself by eating grave soil and rubbing blood on himself. Okay, and he was telling people this before he died. And so then post burial, villagers reported nightmares of Arnold attacking them, followed by mysterious deaths. So people would dream that that they're being attacked by this now dead guy, Arnold Pioli, and and then people actually in the village started having mysterious deaths happen. Okay. Officials exhumed him, and his body was undecayed with fresh blood in his mouth. His nails had grown longer, and his hair had grown longer. They staked and burned him, but the panic spread. Dozen more bodies were exhumed, staked, and cremated. Official reports fueled Europe's vampire hysteria. So that's another documented case of however you want to explain that. Except, here's something that's kind of interesting. There are Tibetan lamas and nuns of the Tibetan Buddhist religion who, when they get to a certain awareness in their practice, when they die, they don't they basically don't decompose. And a few things can happen. They can turn into what's called the rainbow body, where they kind of just start shrinking into almost nothingness. And people report seeing, for all intents and purposes, the light of what looks like a rainbow kind of shimmering from where their body once was. Okay, so that can happen. That's called the rainbow body. Another thing that can happen is that they die and their body, their corpse does not decompose, and their nails continue to grow over the course of years and years, and their hair, and in cases of men, their beards get super long. It's almost like everything's still going on as far as like the bodies. I don't know what I was going to say, but anyway, that's pretty strange too. And that's true.
So,
There are many, 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 many documented cases of that.
of the Tibetan monks
Yeah,
are
both
having.
the rainbow body experience, but more in tune with what we're talking about, that the other experiences, the bodies don't break down and decompose, and the nails and the hair continue to grow over the course of years. We're not talking just like a month later, because that could definitely happen too. But like over the course of years and years and years, there's some corpses that are just like, I don't know how long they've been there, but a long, long time. So,
Mhm.
so were they vampires?
Yeah.
No, they just had this awareness, and that's what they did with their body after they left it. Somehow.
So you think their soul left, but there
Oh
was a
yeah.
pure enough essence that it kind of continued to like nourish the body, like
Or
especially if.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I mean, if we're all in a simulation, what are we even really talking about? Like, you know, it's like if you have a certain kind of awareness and you can create matter with your thoughts, which some of these higher level folks can do, then they could be like, well, I'm gonna leave this body behind, just let it just simmer, like it won't decompose and it'll keep growing, like I don't know why, but maybe that proves to other believers in a religion that, hey, I should really do more practice because then I could do something cool too, like that. Or who knows?
Yeah, it's interesting because in the book Autobiography of a Yogi, there's some pretty supernatural things that's talked about in there. It's written by Paramahansa Yogananda, and
Yeah.
he studied with a guru, and then there's other um, people that he talked about, and they had some pretty, because of their powerful connection with spirit, they were able to like even buy locate, so they could.
Mm-hmm.
One was able to separate from his body. He was having a conversation with one person, was pretty much like the person didn't even notice, and then he's like, oh, I need to check in with somebody about something. And then he came back and said, oh, okay, yeah, so I just talked to them, and he was there the whole time, but the other guy, which was miles away, was able to say,
Oh
thought he
yeah.
was talking. So he bilocated.
Yep.
So here's a question. I feel like it's possible that vampires do a similar thing, but they're relying on blood magic versus these other yogis and whatnot, and the Tibetans that you mentioned
Mm-hmm.
are doing things that we're all capable of doing, but
Yeah.
they do it through a way where it's more like doesn't take from anyone, like they're only
Right.
relying on their connection. Does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds like it. That could be totally true. The Tibetans also, the higher ups also are able to bilocate. It's a real deal. I make
I
a
even
joke.
feel like
I make a joke sometimes when when someone's like, "Oh, I know I told you that," and I'm like, as much as I'd love to brag about bilocation, I don't have that ability yet. You didn't tell me that because I was over blah 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 blah. So bilocation it's on my bucket list. Hopefully, I can master it at some point in my life. But no, I think yeah, and like I said before, there's dark arts. Like in the Law of One, they say people like to play in the dark. That's you know, and they could be doing the same types of things, but with the art of uh, taking from others, instead of the art of doing it yourself for and then in a lot of cases in the Tibetan Buddhist would be for the the sake of enlightenment for all. or something.
Mm.
So service to others, service to self, two different ways
Mm.
to achieve the same type of experience, possibly. So,
Mm.
okay, here's a
Yeah.
third, not story, but here's a third type of vampire. And if you never hear from Rachel and I again,
Oh God.
it's probably because of this.
Hold up.
You're like, wait,
Hold up.
signing off, and
I'll
then,
be back.
and that is, how about the reptilians that are supposedly been here? They're the ones who work with the globalist elite, quote unquote elite, the billionaires. Been screwing our planet over because their conquest is all about conquest, and they've been working here for thousands of years, and that's why everything's so, pardon my expression, but everything's dicked up here, it's everything's ass backwards as it should be, for wholesome living, that is. And they apparently eat people, they drink blood, they eat people, and they seem to be a very real entity here on Earth and in space and in other dimensions. I think some of them are higher density beings. Some are probably ones that we could see and touch. There's been a gazillion encounter stories with reptilians, and not all reptilians are bad. It's just this one group that happens to be negative, but not all, that's like saying, all, black bear, all grizzly bears are evil. No, they're not. Sometimes there's an oddball one that will just kill somebody, like the grizzly man. That was a crazy bear, and he just ate the guy and his girlfriend, for no good reason other than he had a screw loose. Doesn't mean all grizzly bears are, So, not all reptilians are made equally. So there's that, and then on that, for the for the humans, there's the whole adrenochrome thing, and those are people from like Hollywood and stuff drinking blood for longevity. So in a way, that's like being a vampire as well.
Right, okay, so I don't know, I know very little, or I can't claim to know anything about the reptilian agenda or presence, but I have heard, like, about, high up businessmen who, like, in order to increase their performance, they get blood transfusions, and I've often wondered where that blood came from, like,
Yeah,
I guess it could be, like, the blood bank, and they, like, have a share, or, they don't usually highlight that, where that blood.
So even humans can be just vampiric by partaking in some of this stuff. Because adrenochrome is a very real thing. I mean, it used to be like, oh, that's conspiracy. No, they capture, pounds of it. And it is like worse than any drug because of what it is. It's generally children too, that they extract this from. So terrible, terrible stuff. But that would be, I mean, that's the ultimate like horrible thing to me. That's just about as evil as it gets. And that's all. And that's humans, like, yeah, taking literal like
taking life, essentially.
Yes, like, from children and babies,
and from children
and adults too, but especially the quote unquote innocent. But anyway, that's creepier and more horrible than any vampire story that Hollywood could sling at us, And that's happening, on planet Earth with human beings. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a creepy, bloody mess out there.
I mean,
I don't dwell on it, so it's.
I feel like there's been enough TV and shows and movies and whatnot to there wouldn't be a reason for the fascination about it, like, because there's a curiosity, but then also, fiction's more true than life sometimes. Like, there's a element of, a parallel in real life.
Okay, and so maybe we've exhausted vampirism. Maybe not. But I've got one last.
Well, I've scratched the surface.
Yeah, I got one last question for you though, and then you can ask me the same one if you feel so inclined. But do you think, deep down, like, if knee jerk, this is what I think. I can't prove it, but here's what I believe: that, let's say, the stereotypical type of vampire, one that doesn't grow old anymore, that does need to consume human blood or some kind of blood, and you know, whether they're good looking or not, who knows, but they don't age, and maybe they have to not go out in the sun, maybe because they look weird, but maybe if the sun does something. Do you believe that stereotypical vampire exists on planet Earth?
Okay.
Knee jerk. I mean, just like
Knee jerk, yes.
gun to
I
your
mean,
head.
because yeah, everything is possible, and
Yeah,
I
good
feel
answer.
like there is way more weird things than we know about.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, just
And you said
yeah.
verbatim what I would have said had you asked me. And that would
Well,
have.
I am gonna ask you. So.
Okay.
Turn around, fair play.
Okay.
Knee jerk.
Gun to my head. Um, uh, just like you, I think that all things are possible. Just because of the nature of this reality, anything goes kind of thing. And there's so much that happens all around us that we are so unaware of. So yeah, I believe that do they have secret covens and maybe, maybe not. If they do, we're not gonna go look for them because I think we go missing.
No, thank you. That's not where my energy
Because
is.
if they do exist and they do have big groups or covens or something, they're probably very secretive. Because I'm sure a government would want to hunt them down and exterminate, because who wants blood-sucking leeches, eating off the population? Or maybe some people do that are in power. The population's getting so go call the vampires, start killing off the firstborns. Yeah, but anyway, bottom line is I believe everything is possible. So yes, can I prove it? No. But I think anything's possible, just like you. So which is
I forget.
which is a little bit unnerving at times too, because then you're like, wow, what? I mean, I've had enough weird ass experiences in my life to know that there is way more to life than just human beings here on planet Earth. And so, yep.
Yeah, I forget the number, but there's like we have the ability to intake, I forget however many, like it's a ton of bits of information.
Oh, it's because it's nuts.
We have a field around us, and it's always like interacting with what's around, and so but we filter it because we can't function like that. Like if we were to take in all the bits of information, that's not a very function friendly sort of way to be. So we, by schooling and all of that, have filtered down to like a really base bottom, like foundational pieces of information. So I feel like there's a lot going on that we just don't even see because we don't have the eyes to see them.
Yes, I totally agree. It's kind of reminds me of like when ships would show up on these islands way back when, and the tribal people or the indigenous people, they would see a ship. They had no point of reference in their mind, so the ship wasn't there for them. And you might think, well, that was never proven because that's just a thought experiment. But it has been proven in Alaska numerous times by people traveling down a lonely highway in the middle of Alaska somewhere and running full speed, not swerving, nothing, straight into an airplane. And they're like,
right,
I didn't see the airplane. And finally, this happened over and over again. And the insurance companies were like, get to the bottom of this. I don't know if they hired or if they have investigators already or whatever, but the insurance companies investigated, and these people were like, I'm driving along and then boom, I'm in this wreck, this fiery wreck, and I barely survived. And they're like, well, why did you slow down or swerve out? The airplane was literally in both lanes of traffic, like literally right in front of you. They're like, I didn't see it. It's because they had no point of reference of ever having seen a plane there, so it didn't exist to them. And so it is real.
Yeah, I've heard that story.
It's
a great illustration. Yeah,
just like people that see fairies or don't see fairies. There's people up in the Himalayas in Pakistan. Yes, the Himalayas are in the Pakistan too. They're the Hunza people, and they see fairies all the time. And Westerners come to them, and they're like, yeah, right. And they're like, I'm serious. They're just right there. I'm looking right at, and we don't see them because we've been told they don't exist, and so we have no point. It's the same thing. So who's to say there aren't gnarly vampiric beings right beside you sometimes, and we just don't see it.
Yeah, I think that's why it's important to pay attention to the feedback we get from our body. Like if something feels off, then don't
Yes.
leave.
Go with
Like
your intuition for sure.
yeah,
Gut
follow those
feelings.
signals because our bodies will pick it up even if our minds and
Eyeballs.
senses
That's a good
eyeballs
point.
don't.
That's a
Yeah.
really, really good point. I had never thought of that like that. But yeah, go with what you're feeling
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Yeah.
Especially a lot of times I'll go into some place or whatever and I'll be like, whoa. And I will leave. Something, I don't know if somebody got murdered there or if it's just like human sacrifice. Like, I don't know, but there's some evil feeling something. But who's to say it's not just some little being that has that energy, makes you feel kind of weird, and it's just standing right there. Like we just don't know. But it makes me feel better to leave when I feel that way than to stay and try to investigate because I'm like, this doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
And I can't see it, so oh yeah.
Yeah, you can sense it, and then that's enough to like. Yeah, I don't remember who was a talk show at some point where they were talking about women's intuition specifically. I mean, obviously men have it too, but like how leaving right before something really bad happened, and all of them talked about. I just knew that I needed to leave, and it could have been like a lot of near escapes, like something really bad could have happened, like somebody was either stalking them or doing something with ill intent, and they followed their intuition and then found out later that somebody got caught, and they're like, I can't remember the whole thing, so I don't have a lot of specifics, but there's evidence for sure of people who follow that. Definitely. Did I tell you the story about when I was in traveling in Brazil and I had a situation one time where about that? Have I talked about that on the podcast?
No.
So one time I was traveling and
okay, wait, give us some background. How many years ago was this? How old were you?
Oh, okay. So I was in my 20s.
Paint me a picture.
I was in my 20s. I was traveling with a bunch of some like 5 or 6 friends, like a bunch of ladies. Like we were just hanging out, and I was
were
teaching.
You on a Mormon mission?
No, I was teaching school.
Okay.
So I'm not. I mean, I'm not.
Oh,
Mormon,
you're not Mormon. That's right. You just lived in Utah.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So right. So teaching at a school in another country, and
gotcha.
So there's a break, and all the teachers go on a break together and go do a little travel, and so let's just say it was Christmas break. I can't remember, but it's Christmas break, and in Brazil it's like the opposite season, so it's summer there, and there was a boat, and we went on a little tour, and people were jumping in the water. Great day. Come home, come back, go to the hotel, get ready, go to dinner. And then a lot of people, like most everybody, wanted to go back to the hotel after dinner. But me and a couple others went down to the dock where the boats had been. And we were just going to go. There's like a pretty moon out or something. I don't know. So we went down and discovered phosphorescence in the water. So we're like, oh, this is really cool. So just kind of having a nice little like chat and whatever. And then we went back to the hotel. And we told the rest of the people about it. And they're like, oh, that's really cool. Wish we had known. And then whatever. So the next night, we're at dinner again, and they're like, hey, let's go down to the dock and check it out. And I'm like, I don't have a good feeling about it. I'm not gonna go, and I really don't have a good feeling about it, so I don't know that any of us should go, but for sure I'm not gonna go. And so I went back to the hotel, and like 4 or 5 of them went on to the dock. And they came back into the hotel, like, not long, like 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And they're like wild-eyed, hair, like just looked like they just had I was like, what happened? Who died? Like, this sort of feeling. But turns out they got down to the dock. They were looking for the phosphorescence, and some guy came up and held them at gunpoint and told them to get down on their knees and on their passports and wanted whatever jewelry they had on them, and he like threatened them and said, you know, you can't get up until I leave and all of that. Like I don't even know for sure if he had a gun, but they for sure it was not a good situation.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so they got scared. It was bad. It was
so you went with your
for
feeling like, I don't know why, but I don't have a good feeling, but I'm not doing it. And
yeah, I'm like, I'm not going down there.
Well, at least you tried to warn them, you know.
I did.
But if they're not
remember.
feeling it, they're
Yeah.
you know, and that's something they had to experience, I guess. But like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So that was a pretty, for me in my 20s, having that experience, I'm like, okay, I'm always going to pay attention to that feeling. Like it was a great opportunity. I mean, I guess I'll just say for me, it was an experience of like, okay, that's a feeling to trust. Like if I ever have that again.
How'd that tie into vampires exactly?
I think we were talking about when you're out and about and you feel something weird, like pay attention to it.
Oh, yeah, because we never know what's around us. That's right.
You never know. Like, since we are kind of like, for lack of better words, dumbed down, we have to, that part of our body is not. Like, that part of our system is still very alert and very, like, awake.
Well, that was a pretty cool story.
Yeah, thanks. I feel like it's a good, for me, just talking about it and telling you about it, it's a good reminder for me and whoever else resonates with it, that there's definitely some crazy things out there, like the undead and whatnot, and we don't know for sure, like, what's real, quote unquote, and what's not real. But I feel like the best thing we can do is tune into ourselves, our higher self, and our own intuition, which is basically the same thing, I guess. But just being aware and having that connection, making it strong, and knowing that we are powerful and nothing can hurt us unless we believe it to be true. So keeping that, I mean, we have experiences, yes, and sometimes we sign up to be hurt, but that's aside from that.
I was about to say.
Aside from that,
may you be visited by a vampire tonight. I'm kidding.
Aside from what we signed up for and bad things that just
exactly.
happen, I guess there's a power that we have that we don't always claim or know about. So I'm just encouraging people to claim and know it.
Yep, absolutely. And it is true. We are all powerful, and we forget constantly. But yes, I totally agree. Unless you've signed up for some example of this is how horrible a situation could be for somebody, check me out. You know, like, unless on a soul level you've signed yourself up for that. Yes, we can pretty much usually fight off the evil and whatnot. And I'm talking spiritual stuff. I'm not talking about like fighting off people. That can happen too, but just be, having that awareness and whatnot. So yes, I agree with you. We're very, very powerful, way more powerful than we could even begin to imagine.
Which is why we could always just like holla for our soul. Do a soul holla.
Soul holla.
Know that we're always connected. Like,
totally. So we kind of went off a little bit on the vampire thing, except that we were making the point towards the end here of there could be things right next to you right now that qualify for all of these different types of vampiric entities, let's just say, and just go with your intuition. If you walk into a room and it feels uncomfortable, leave it. If you, whatever. So just be aware. Be aware. There's evil out there, but there's a lot of good too. So, and then there's the nice neutral area.
Neutral is pretty sweet spot.
Yeah. The Buddha called it the middle way for a good reason. So.
All right.
Okay, I think that's going to be it for this one.
Yeah, thanks everybody for being here, for listening, tuning in. Until next time.
We already have that. That's our outage. Or outro.
Outro. Outage. I like that though.
So really we could just say thanks for listening. Oh, like and subscribe. Well, I think that's where we're going to end this one. If you liked it, please give us a thumbs up or a heart or whatever venue you're listening at. We would much appreciate it. And leave a comment If you have any, Rachel will be more than happy to get back to you.
I'm on team comments.
Yep. I've taken myself off team comments. We don't have any comments yet because we are so new of a podcast.
We might have some by now.
Maybe so. You never can tell about these things.
I might comment.
Future Brenna says we're going to. All right, everybody. Until the next time. Thanks for listening and take care.
Yes, thanks for listening. Soul
Soul
Holla.
Holla.